And today I want to kick off another 4-part video series, and where I'm going to show you everything and anything about my content creation process from the start. So beginning with the brainstorming process, idea creation, how to really find those ideas and find content that aligns for your business, all the way to creating the long form pieces, to creating the actual content and then posting it. Across those videos, I'm going to share any know-how that you need to know on how to efficiently create content. I'm going to share best practices and what mistakes you should avoid. So let's dive right in. In this first video, I want to tell you anything and everything about my brainstorming and idea creation process. And again, it depends really whether you're working with clients or you're creating content for yourself. When I talk about on this videos is really creating content mainly for myself, for my own business. When you create content for your clients, you have to watch out for. There are certain processes or layers of approval that you need to consider when creating content for other people. Everything starts in the brainstorming, the idea creation phase. And there are a lot of platforms and tools that you can use. So you can use Trello, Notion, Airtable. And these are all great tools, personally, that's my opinion, when you work with clients. So I use Trello and Airtable before working with clients, and I use Notion when collaborating with other people from the company. Airtable is amazing when you want to create all the content, you upload files, and then you send it over for approval to the company, and they can go in, either approve it, move it to the next step. They can write a comment. So it's really great back and forth. It's very streamlined. So if you work with clients, I recommend looking into like Airtable. I think this is a great tool for the content creation process. But now for myself, I don't necessarily need Airtable. I don't need a fancy tool, because for me, all I need to do and what's important to me is just having an overview of what needs to get done, what is planned for each specific month, and whether or not I created the content for it already. And I can get all of this done in a good old Excel sheet. I like to use the Google Cloud Excel sheet, so that comes with your Google account, because you can access it from anywhere and everywhere. I can access this on my iPhone, on my iPad, on my computer. It doesn't matter where I am. So on the bottom of the Excel document, I label it, let's say we take 2024 as an example, content for 2024. And that's a blank sheet on Excel. And then I separate it into months, so January, February, March, April, and so on, all the way through. And it really depends how often you post content. Now, I post content once a week, meaning I post long form content once a week. I post on Monday a blog post, on Tuesday my podcast goes online, and on Friday I publish my YouTube video. These are 3 long form content pieces that I distribute to like my major channels. So I base my content strategy off of those 3 pieces. And once you watch my next video about how to create content, the long form content, I talk more into really how to structure your long form pieces, how you can make it work for you in a very efficient way. But every Monday I post a blog post, and it really kicks off the week. So if you look for January, I look how many Mondays are in January, and then I write them in my Excel list. So for example, you have 4 Mondays. That means I need 4 ideas for the month of January. These 4 ideas are meant for my long form content pieces. That does not include the extra stuff that you do on social media. That does not include a TikTok trend that you're posting, or any thoughts you want to share on your Instagram stories or in your Instagram reel. This really mainly focuses on your core content that you're creating for your business. Now that I have my 4 blank spots for January, I continue to February, how many Mondays are in February, how many Mondays are in March, and continue to grow my list. Now that gives me an idea of how many ideas I need to generate and what I should write about. Next, I fill up my columns, and I keep it super, super simple. Again, I do a blog content, I do a podcast, I do a YouTube video. So my first column, I label it written, filmed, edited, and posted. These are all the columns, and there's nothing fancy about it. Once I wrote the content, I type in yes, and I mark the cell as green, so I know it's done. This way, for me, it helps me to keep an overview of what do I need to do, what still needs attention, and then also in what priority setting. Because when I, let's say, need to post a video next Friday, and I haven't even written the blog post for it, then I know, okay, I need to start writing the content so I can publish it on my blog, then I create the podcast, and then I schedule my YouTube video. This is a super simple overview that helps you to understand how many content pieces you need to create, so how many ideas you need to come up with. Now, if you say, you know what, I'm posting 2 YouTube videos in a week and I'm posting 2 podcasts, then you can adjust the amount of ideas that you need to generate for each given month. And when it comes to my ideas, when it comes to the content that I'm publishing, it all goes back to what is the core of your business. So content that I'm posting might be different from content that you're posting. But I'm posting content about how to build a brand and really how to help you gain traction online, how to get more followers, how to get more engagement, and really how to establish an online presence. That's what the social wisdom is all about. Everything is digital. Also, what I like to do, I like to post a variety of content. So for instance, this week I'm talking about Instagram, next week I might talk about LinkedIn, and then the following week I'll tell you a bit of SEO tips. But I really want to diversify my content so it really helps everyone who's consuming it. And there's 2 different ways how you can approach content creation. You can, number 1, rely on the data you already have, or number 2, create completely new content. And it really depends on where you are in the journey. So let's say you already have an established business and you've been posting content in the past. You can go back to your data and you can go back to your insights to really understand, what does my audience resonate with? Do they prefer, for instance, in my case, do they prefer Instagram content? Do they prefer topics about TikTok? Or what do people really consume? So you can go back to your blog posts. You can see what blog posts receive traction. You can go to YouTube videos to see what YouTube video got the most views, and then create more content that aligns with the content you already posted. Now, if you're completely new, this is the first time you're publishing content or the first time you're really taking it serious, and you don't really have any data that you can rely on, you can start from scratch. And when you're starting from scratch, you want to understand, who are you going to talk to? So who are you trying to reach online? What is my target audience and what problems are they facing? So you want to create your content based on the pain points of your audience that your business offers. In addition, you can also go to your competitors and check out what type of content are they posting on their YouTube channel or their social media channels. And you can get an idea and get inspired. And again, you know, I'm not about just straight up taking what other people are doing. I always say, get inspired what others are doing and then put your own spin on it. Do some competitor research, see what videos are working for them on their channels or what social media content works for them. And if you're still not sure how to start with the idea creation, you can also think about your frequently asked questions. You can create content out of your frequently asked questions. You can scroll through your social media accounts and see if anyone leaves a comment, and this comment can help you to create content, whether it's a question or it's a suggestion. Or lastly, of course, you can also go to keyword search online. So you can either go to Ubersuggest. I personally use Ubersuggest also to create content ideas. You can type in the keyword and see what this tool suggests to you. You can also go to Google and type in, for example, how to grow on social media. And if you scroll down, you can see the people also ask questions, and you can also get additional ideas on what to create content for. When it comes to content, I also like to talk about my personal experience. It's super important to talk about your personal journey, your growth, and how you build a business and the struggles you overcome to really connect with someone online, to really build this relationship with your viewers. I aim for at least one long-form content that relates to my journey. So whether it's a story I'm going to share from my business, it's a story how I work with a client, or it's a struggle I overcome, or it's working with team members, but something that happened in the past where I can give my advice. And then once you found your ideas, once you know what you want to talk about, you would fill in your Excel document. So you would say, first week in January, I'm going to talk about X. And then the next week I'm going to talk about this topic, and then I create content around this topic. And slowly you're able to fill the entire year with content. And now you might ask yourself, okay, so I'm filling out all the weeks from January to December with content, and I create all that content. But now, is that relevant? Stuff that I'm creating in January, is that still relevant in November? And that's a great question. And I always recommend, if you plan out content for the entire year and you produce content for the coming month, keep them evergreen. What is evergreen? Evergreen content refers to content that whether I watch it today, in a month, or in a year, it's still relevant. So that is content, whether it's a strategy or it's a tool that applies today, that applies tomorrow, and that applies next year. Evergreen content doesn't really go out of style and you can always refer back to it. But now, if you, for instance, talk about trends, so trends for 2023, social media trends for 2024, if I watch that in 2025 or 2026, it might not really apply anymore. So keep that in mind when you create content. When you create your ideas, always aim for more like general evergreen content or share personal stories. And since you create this in bulk, since you pre-create it for the upcoming months, that leaves you room to jump in and create additional content if something comes up. So for instance, if an event is happening that relates to what you're doing, or if you just want to talk about something that is up and coming, then you can always create that content and just weave it in. But when we talk about content production and really outlining it for the entire year, I'm referring to more like evergreen content that people can refer to, rather than creating content about an event that's trending right now but then posting it in April. That's not really going to work. It's not really relevant anymore. But for instance, when I think about content that I want to post around November, December, I already think about what would people like to see in November or December. Meaning in November, it's a lot of e-com. It's a heavy push on social media, especially if you're an e-com business, if you're selling a product. Holidays, it's always a big theme. So what type of content would work for those months? How to sell your products, how to gain credibility, what type of ads you should run right now. So that's the content I'm creating for those months. And then in December, of course, trends for next year, what to prepare for in the next year, resolutions for the next year. And now you might ask yourself, well, trends for 2025 and what I should be focusing on next year. How do I know what to talk about those videos at the beginning of the new year? And that's another fair question to ask. Of course, when you talk about content that you want to create in November, in December, it doesn't mean you have to create this content right now. It doesn't mean that you have to create this content in February. You can wait until August, September, October. Heck, you can create December content in November. But what I'm telling you, it makes sense to create a content calendar that really outlines and keeps you accountable for the type of content you want to post. So to keep you accountable for, okay, in March, April, June, this is the content I generally want to talk about. And then you can decide to pre-create it at the beginning of the year, or you can create it a month prior. So it really is up to you how you handle your content creation. But the first initial step, the idea and the brainstorming, should really include all the ideas that you planned for the year, so you feel a little bit better going into the year. You're more organized, you work more efficiently, and you have a content calendar that you can always refer back to. So it's not like you're lost, like, oh, what content should I create this week? But instead you would look at your calendar and you would know exactly what content to create. And if you need help creating a content calendar or coming up with ideas for your business, you can always reach out to me. And you find me anywhere at The Social Wisdom online, or you can send me an email at nina@thesocialwisdom.com, and we can jump on a call. We can just talk. We can just discuss what ideas you should implement for your business. And this also led us yet again to another episode of the Content Marketing Cheat Sheet podcast. I'm so glad you tuned in today, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Also, always remember, the world is your oyster, but everything is disgusting. Until then, goodbye, or how we say in Germany, auf Wiedersehen.